with the magic of radio and technology, is going to cross straight to Las Vegas in Nevada, and we have Gerald on the line. How are you, Gerald?
How are you today, John?
Very well, mate. Welcome to the show all the way from Las Vegas. What time is it over there?
It is about 7:20 p.m. Las Vegas time.
Wow, see? And it's only 19... It's lunchtime here.
My goodness.
And I haven't even had lunch yet, so so bear with me. Now, Gerald,
of course.
As you know, America is in dire straits at the moment, and what is it like in the streets of Las Vegas?
Well, I can tell you right now, the streets of Las Vegas are relatively calm. Most of the demonstrations and protests to try and get change, long time needed change to fight systemic racism here in America. Mostly that's been taking place on the Strip. Unfortunately, there has been a couple incidences here of violence and a couple incidents of violence to the point where there was shooting last night where a sheriff here in town a police officer here in town is now in grave condition just because of what we're seeing. But for the most part, the protests have been very peaceful. I do want to stress that. And as we're seeing across the country, for the most part, the protests that are very well intended, very peaceful, but there are incidents in our country, as we've seen from different avenues, different cities, where the violence has come into play, and the looting and the things we've seen from both the protesters and also the police side as far as the way they're treating each other. And then we've even seen the point where from your country, people covering this, news media outlets, a news media outlet from Australia, they were attacked yesterday by police, and that was truly disturbing.
Yeah, but I think that was Channel 9, which is one of the TV stations down here that I personally don't like anyway, so it doesn't really matter. But no, that's a joke. But that's a joke. But Gerald, is there any looting going on in the streets of Las Vegas? As you just said, like a sheriff or a police officer was shot last night. So is he okay?
Yes.
And why? Like, what were the circumstances of him being shot?
Well, it was from what I'm reading on the news reports, it was actually as a protest was ending, there was being dispersed, and the protesters started throwing items, rocks, things of that nature, and it escalated quickly into someone randomly firing at police, and unfortunately led to this officer who is now in grave condition at this time. You never want to see it come to that. Looting has not been at anywhere of the level of some other cities here in the States, which I'm very thankful for. And you never like to see it devolve to that point, but this is an issue that's been there for many years, and it just keeps going around in a vicious cycle. And it took instances like you see with the tragic death of George Floyd that people need to go ahead and make a statement against it, and doing it in a peaceful manner is the way we should go ahead and be going about it. But when you see it in some instances devolving into some certain aspects where there's violence from both a protester and a police standpoint, you really don't like to see that. You really don't like to see humans treating other humans in such a inappropriate manner.
Now, Gerald, do you I'm not sure if you know much about our Aussie police, but in Australia, like if you get pulled over by the police, they don't draw weapons or anything like that, unless you're a criminal, obviously. But normally they don't do that. But in America, have I got this right? Like nearly every stop, they got their guns drawn, and is that how it rolls over there?
No, that's not correct. Because I have been stopped for various, a couple violations. I sped too much, 5 miles going over the speed limit or something like that. Maybe did a U-turn or whatnot in my lifetime. Because I'm now 51 years old. You're gonna, when you're driving, you have those odds. You're going to get pulled over. There are certain standard procedures, one of which is not to have the gun drawn. Now, obviously, as an officer, you might, depending on the circumstances, might have a hand ready at your gun while you're asking for information politely, but I've not had a personal situation like that. Now, I did have a guest on one of my other shows that is not, it's talking about, and he was talking about how, him as an African American, he has to deal when he's pulled over, certain things he has to do specifically in order to not have that gun drawn on him, in order to not have the situation
So,
devolve or
Gerald,
de-escalate.
Gerald, are you saying that the police are over there, as you just said? So, let me get this right. Are you saying that the police over there are treating black Americans differently to when they pull them over compared to a white person?
Well, I'm not saying it on a personal level for me because I don't want to say that. I'm just saying from my experience, what I have seen is that there is differences in the way that the law enforcement have, certain members of law enforcement have treated others on occasions. And again, like I said, I had on a guest today who is African American and who knows of other individuals who've had that kind of treatment. And there is systemic racism that's been apparent for a while in our society as a whole, and occasionally we have seen that, and the evidence is there. It's repeated it as far as the evidence is there that certain members of the police and law enforcement, not as the whole, because there's so many hardworking men and women who do try to stay on the tried and true and do actually serve and protect the entire community, but there are those who go ahead and
make it worse for
choose
the others.
that worse path. There are individuals in law enforcement that have chosen that worse path.
Now, with the coronavirus and everything going on over there, is it strange, just off note for a second here, is it strange to walk down the middle of Las Vegas and no lights are on, or is there lights still on? I don't know.
There are some lights still on that have been on as far as for signage, but for the most part, Las Vegas has been dark. It's been somewhat surreal. I remember traveling down the Las Vegas Strip shortly after the shutdown of the Las Vegas casinos. And of course, because of COVID-19 and the coronavirus, it was really surreal to see somewhere that I've been here since 1995 and to see it all closed for the first time in my life that I've been here. It's very surreal to see it all shut down. And, the lights were only on in a fashion to help support hope for people out there, also support the frontline workers, things of that nature, and then also to inform people that we will be opening up as soon as possible as a city.
Now, are you happy with the way? Are you a Donald Trump supporter or you're not?
I'm going to respectfully say I'm not. I will just leave it at that.
Okay. So with what's going on in America, and do you see any of these riots and anything like stopping soon, or this is just going to keep going on?
As I said before, this is a vicious cycle. Systemic racism in our country and as a society as a whole, it's a vicious cycle. And we keep going back and we keep going back until we decide at some point in time to make a definitive stand. And try to work and have that dialogue together as a people to try and work things out and be better.
Now, Gerald, yep.
Yes.
I have
Go ahead.
one last quick, and it's a big question. Now, Australia has gun laws where they did years ago. They brought back the guns, and do you think if America did that, the streets would be a lot safer and the police wouldn't have to go around feeling like they got to shoot everybody? Like, if you didn't have guns and only the police had guns, like in Australia, don't you think that would solve the problem?
Well, it wouldn't solve the problem entirely. There are other ways of people committing violence on each other.
Yeah, there's still, we still have people in Australia who still do armed robberies and stuff, but it's very, look at our statistics compared to, the US. So what I'm saying is...
And I get that. And in areas of the world where guns have been outlawed, like you said, to only the law and whatnot, it has gone down, and that would be an effective way to go for a lot of individuals out there. With the Second Amendment that's available, I mean, people are allowed to have guns in this country, and it's how you use them. It's the people that use them, and also the kind of devices that you have out there. There's no need for larger, more destructive weapons in our society, but there is still the right for people to go ahead and defend themselves. And I think that there should be some point where you can say, okay, I need to be able to defend myself. But at some point in time, you got to say, let's draw the line as far as the type of weapons that we can utilize, because at some point you're not defending yourself. You're just becoming a a major threat to our society.
Well, I think even in Las Vegas, Nevada, there, and we've got to wrap this up quickly, but I think in Las Vegas, Nevada, you can even buy AK-47s and stuff. I don't think you need those to protect yourself.
That is exactly what I'm trying to say. In fact, it was automatic weapons that killed so many people right here on the Strip at the Maryland Lay Bay not too long ago.
That's right, when that concert was on, wasn't it?
That is correct, yeah. Yes.
And were you in the city when that was happening?
Yes, I was. It was a very tragic day for us.
Well, Gerald, you just gave me goosebumps. Thank you very much for being on the show this Arvo. And
thank you.
I'll have to return the favor and come on your show now.
Well, absolutely. And if I could just say one last quick thing before we head out, I want to thank Variety Digital Radio Australia for playing the pop culture cosmos. It's just truly been an incredible run, and I cannot thank you and the station enough for allowing us to be a part of your station.
Oh, mate, that's a pleasure. As we were talking off air, I think you've been with us for just over 2 years. And
yes.
Yeah, no, it's my pleasure. So you can catch the Pop Culture Cosmos tomorrow night, Thursday nights at 7 o'clock. There you go, Gerald. I even know off the top of my head.
Hey, I'll tell you what, you're going to have an Aussie on the show with Ben Arnault from Queensland. So looking forward to my conversation with him on tomorrow's show.
Oh, fantastic. So Aussie's going to be on your show tomorrow.
Absolutely, and he's got some great cooking tips. I think you want to hear it.
Oh, I love cooking. All right, Gerald, you're a legend. Thank you very much, mate, for being on the show, and we'll chat soon, hey?
Thank you. Looking forward to it.
Thank you.